pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Ms. Ryan?
Present.
Mr. Redmond?
Here.
Mr. Francie is not present
He's
yet.
on the way from the sewer authority.
Ms. Kane? Here. Mayor Nolan?
Here.
The first item we had was New Jersey Future, Steve Nelson, introduction.
Steve? Can you give all the folks an idea who you are and what you're going to be doing for the Borough of Highlands?
I will do that. I'm Steve Nelson, as much of council may know, and to give my back. Maybe we'll sit over here. New Jersey Future was the recipient of a grant from Recovery Fund that hired me, and they had previous to me being hired worked with the council and the mayor to put me here and in Seabright to help the borough in any way I can with recovery efforts. I describe my position as part assistant to Tim and part borough planner. I imagine I will be helping to keep projects on track, to get them completed in a timely fashion, and those projects as determined by the borough. As I told someone, I don't get a vote in this, I'm just the worker on it. But to find resources, whether it's money, whether it's technical assistance, and to help however I can get Highlands back on its feet. I'm happy to be here. I'll be here only part of the time, I'm afraid, because I'll also be in that other borough down 36 that will go unnamed in front of council.
Oh, no, we can say it.
Now, Steve, you're also going to be able to bring a full-time grant writer to the table at some point and have access to them?
I will, well, I will not say yes. I have done grant writing, so I can do grant writing that's necessary. If the borough thinks a full-time grant writer is necessary, I can help to find a grant to get a grant writer.
Yeah.
But I mean, a grant writer doesn't come with me, you know, it's just,
You'll be able to facilitate the dollars.
I actually facilitate, and I can also work with council in a number of ways. My background is as a planner and as a government official. I've worked with 30 or 40 municipalities in my career, elected officials and staff. I worked with state officials as well. So I have a pretty broad experience in the general issues that Highlands is facing, not to the magnitude that Sandy brought us all, but in terms of revitalization, redevelopment, housing, transportation, infrastructure, environment, culture, parks, trails, etc. So I'm happy to answer questions from council. If it's appropriate, take questions from the audience.
Anyone at the table have any questions?
No, we had already had a pretty good
I know
meeting.
we all met.
Oh, and I'm also sorry, I have not yet met you, Councilman, but,
vacation next week.
and I will be wanting to talk to you. I'm doing introductory interviews across the town, and any names that you think I should be meeting with, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
As well as some of the key staff, obviously. I'm in with Tim in his office, which is very helpful in sort of learning the borough.
Perfect, yeah, that's it, we'll work it out. Anybody in the audience?
Yes, hi,
Name-
Barbara Iannucci,
Name and address, please.
Shrewsbury Avenue. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Barbara.
As in regards to the FEMA Recovery Committee and the community workshop, is that your agenda, or when you say planning, what projects are you going to collaborate with?
I would say whatever projects the borough directs me to collaborate, to facilitate. My background is in planning, but I don't imagine I'm gonna be doing planning here in Highlands. I think Highlands has had enough planning done. I think Highlands needs projects done. So I'm gonna be implementing projects, but they're as identified by the borough.
Okay, then can I ask council a question? Are you planning on going with the community workshop and the projects as
At least the
you
first
follow?
3 right away.
Okay.
That was our,
The first
consensus.
3 vitals
that
that
we
were
did, we
voted
figured out
time?
last night with all the residents, yeah.
Okay,
And the whole goal is an overall master plan with most of that stuff in it.
yes.
That we got from, the ones that don't make the final 3 cut, for lack of a better word.
Okay, and phase 1 is the first 3, do you have a timeline for jumping into the second 3?
I would say once we have the count, that we know what those 3 are,
Mm-hmm.
we turn them over to him and turn Steve loose.
Because you may find they're like,
He may say, hey, I can do 1 and 2 right away and 4 first before, or whatever.
yes,
So yeah, we want to get the most done as, obviously, as quickly as we can. and take a look at when those projects
Yeah,
are
and-
vetted.
Right, and I need to learn more about the projects.
Sure, you'll get a whole-
And I'm
yeah.
talking with FEMA on a regular basis. I met with them today in Tim's office.
So the nice thing is the residents, I'm sure, with those subcommittees that came up with each individual one, will probably have no problem meeting with you again.
I would appreciate
that,
that.
yeah.
I mean, I'm the new kid on the block, and I
Yep.
recognize I don't know as much as most everybody in the room, so I need to learn more.
You got it.
I appreciate that.
And Steve, I have one more question. I know you're working also with Seabright.
Mhm.
If our projects overlap, will that benefit you to get more results, being that you're working for the same project for two different boroughs, or does that matter?
It might matter in a couple ways. One is if it gets the project done faster, if it gets more money, or if it gets other funders to the table. Often funders will wanna see multi-municipal collaboration.
Good.
So if Seabright and Highlands have the same project, wherever that is, that may be better to get the project done. You know, I'm agnostic about it, and I'm split half and half, so hopefully it won't come down to, you know, you're spending too much time at Seabright, spend more time here, or I'm spending too much time here, spend more time at Highlands.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe Steve, like you said, it's a good idea. We have our three and they have their three. If any of them do have the potential to get the funding together quicker, then clearly we go for that first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else have questions?
Doug Card, 28 Shrewsbury. Steve, you spoke that you work with between 30 and 40 municipalities. In your experience, to help us work together, what is the biggest risk we can't or should avoid doing? That's been a failure in some communities. Because we're all new to this, and we want to make sure we don't put our foot in our mouth kind of thing and not move in the right direction.
So like your
Yeah.
project
Yeah.
comes out and it's the top three, you determine. Obviously, we'll ask you the reasons why and make them public, but something we can't make the top three because of your professional experience. I think that's kind of where we come, right?
Yeah.
If something is just like, it's gonna take you 5 years, and you
Yeah.
get these other three done in a year or two.
We gotta maximize the 18 months.
Correct.
Really.
Yeah, and that's,
How
thank you for that.
Biggest
I mean,
bang
I'm only
for
here for 18 months now. New Jersey Future is looking to extend the funding for another 18
Right.
months.
Right.
But for our purposes here,
As
and
of
for
right
my
now, it's 18
mind, I'm here
months,
18 months.
We have to have achievable goals for 18 months.
Right.
So you'll be able to tell us out of those projects, what is a realistic goal? 'Cause-
Yes, how soon I can tell you that, I don't know, but to answer your question more directly, Doug, I think the difficulty towns run into is they don't have a plan, which you guys have got. The plan doesn't have enough detail in it. The plan doesn't clearly spell out what the steps are and doesn't have a realistic timetable. So, you know, what's the right project? I'm not gonna make that call, that's the borough's call.
But you'll be able to tell us what the doable projects are.
Well, right, with help, and
Right, yeah.
Dale and your other experts, because I'm not an engineer.
Right.
I don't wanna be an engineer either, but I know Dale wants to be a planner. Sorry, Dale, I don't even know you, I don't even know what time. But,
You just said,
but yeah, I mean, I know what I can't do. In fact, when Rebecca and I had lunch the other day, we were talking about a project, and I know I'm not capable of doing some things. So, you know, I'm looking for help on those things. But what I am good at is keeping things on track, keeping things organized, and working in a logical, you know, coherent fashion. And I should also mention the first thing that's gonna come before you is a scope of services between New Jersey Future and the borough. And in that, I would suggest that there be some measurable, what we call metrics these days, about what you expect out of Steve Nelson. So it's clear what the expectations are, and I'll be realistic in preparing that scope, and I hope you'll be realistic in reviewing it and making your comments.
Just
on
get
it.
all the projects done. That's it.
Get all the projects done. If I can be in charge of what those projects are, you gotta do it.
Yeah, okay.
If you tell me you can get them done, you might be in charge of those projects, out of the ones we have vetted with residents already, sure.
But like I say, I mean, I'm looking forward to working with the town. You know, this is a great opportunity as a planner, somebody involved in redevelopment and revitalization. This is a great chance for me to help.
Now, Steve, typically in the past, funding has always been an issue, just in the normal
Yeah,
course of it.
yeah.
But because of the impact of Sandy, it's probably gonna be a little.
I hope it's gonna be easier. And the fact you got the FEMA plan done, I'm told that's gonna open up some doors. We'll see if that happens or not.
And you'll be able to do the strategic recovery report also, correct?
If the borough wants me to, I am capable of doing that. I will say
Is that part of the package, we don't have to pay anything for that?
yes.
Okay, they're probably gonna, because that's usually about 30 grand, right? 20 to 30?
I don't know, I haven't seen what a budget is for that, but yeah,
Has to
20, 30
Has
is
to be every
probably.
bit of it. Okay. I think that, I won't speak for Chris because he's not here, but I think the four of us would like you to do that. As part of, since you're gonna be involved in
Right.
this.
I mean, certainly, and there's a letter, if it's not in Tim's inbox now, it will be, that speaks to that. We are certainly capable of doing that. If you don't mind, I would also suggest that the borough may still want to take the $20,000 DCA, I think, is going to grant or has granted.
As backup.
And, well, as you use that to help do the plan, so get more done, because I'll be able to do what you would have otherwise paid a consultant $28,000
Right,
for,
right, right.
plus or minus. Take that $20,000,
Or something else.
maybe some engineering estimates,
Architect.
mapping, architect, there's a lot of, there are a lot of things you can buy for $20,000. So I would suggest not turning that back if they
Oh,
grant
yeah,
it
yeah,
to
yeah, but if we can get you to do it as part of the other.
Yeah, I mean, I can be in charge of the sort of big picture plan and get that written, but there may be pieces that can be done by others under contract to the borough that fits into that plan.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions for Steve from the audience? Seeing none. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully, and I know we'll see a lot of you.
Yes, and I am more than happy to come to council on a regular
I
basis.
think you should, it'd be great, at least one a month, just to give everybody an update, and as we get closer into these, projects and they get, we're gonna want you
Progress
involved
reports
with
on-
everything, subcommittees and things like that.
Are you gonna have posted hours? So
Yes.
appropriate.
Yeah, thanks for, yeah. I'm glad you guys said, I am going to be here as much as I can right now. I've got to spend some time in Trenton in the New Jersey Future offices. But after a point, I will have some posted office hours, so people, if they want to come to see me, in person, I will be there.
Put on our borough website.
Cool. Yeah.
And, an email too, obviously, if you need another one at the Borough of Islands, okay.
Okay.
Because a lot of folks communicate email now, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I need one, but I'll talk to Tim about the logistics.
Just maybe, because especially as you start doing these, projects, people are gonna have questions.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, my email, I've got New Jersey Future email,
Yeah.
that may work best.
I don't know how clogged up that is, that's the only reason I'm asking.
Yeah, that may work, that may be a good idea.
Because you're gonna have, you're not gonna,
Yeah,
Steve
all due
Price.
respect,
that.
nobody cares
Yeah.
to send an email out
Right.
Trent, nobody
Yeah.
cares.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know, I agree with you, we gotta take care of our own house first, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not invite everybody to a dirty house, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good idea, thank you.
Let's get that set up, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it should be like ours, as Nelson at townborough.org. Okay?
Okay.
And we'll get it all on the website, with contact info, posted hours, and then we're gonna start the first 3 projects, and you tell us what we can and can't do, and what we gotta do, and then we'll arrange meetings with you with the subcommittees, of the people that actually made those projects, or came up with those ideas, and we'll go from there.
Great.
Okay?
Look forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda.
Does anybody have anything on 1 through 9 that they'd like to talk about separately?
No.
No? Okay, I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second that,
seconded by Ms. Ryan. Ms. Ryan?
yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
The
We have
next,
a note on here about the Highlands First Aid Squad needs. We met in executive session with Ed from the First Aid Squad, and the borough's gonna bond $240,000 to get them a new ambulance and a used one, because both of them are shot. Hopefully, we have that ready for November. The meeting in November is, I believe, the 6th, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Um,
R13220, Mr. Hill?
It's a resolution appointing
I'm sorry,
part-time
that's
code
code
enforcement.
Oh, okay.
We have a
Yeah,
name, dollar amount, and the number of hours.
Okay.
It's up to 20 hours.
20 hours.
I'm gonna recommend Elaine Royals.
And that was the list from civil service, correct?
That was right off the civil service list of eligibles that were on file, and we had to go off that list. So we did have applicants on the civil service list, and we did do the interviews off of that list.
Okay,
And the hourly amount is $20 an hour.
okay, I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to resolution R13221, resolution awarding professional engineering services. For,
This is part of that DBIZ project, the second drainage project, if you will. It's 2 solid pipes coming from 36, one down Waterwich, one down Linden. No inlets into it, basically. Its main purpose is to carry the water from Monmouth Hills and the highway down to the creek without without further damaging our system. They'll have storm scepter type inlets, and basically what that does, it settles out the solids, all the debris we keep seeing from Jones Creek. Capture those in those structures and then carry the water down. So the intent is to help alleviate some of the flooding issues we see downtown.
Full moon, high tides at the discussion.
Right.
Okay, anyone at the table have any questions? Seeing none, I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Redmond. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Resolution R13-224, resolution appointing sewer plant operator.
Tim, did you want to hold up on this?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Table.
Folks, we're dissolving the Atlantic Highlands Highland Sewer Authority. The anticipation is to cut some overhead there. Right now, it's scheduled to be dissolved on December 31st of this year. And we have some options to have people on our payroll that have to be on our payroll with a certain license. So we're pursuing that, obviously at the cheapest cost possible, but also that the facility's working correctly.
Do you want to move to table that to the 6th?
I think we should table it to the 6th, because that was what we talked about in exec, about
Okay.
Yeah.
contacting the two
Okay,
potential
so just make
candidates.
that motion.
Yeah, I'll offer to table it to the 6th.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Resolution R13-225, capital budget amendment.
Steve, you talking with us?
Yeah, this is one of the necessary items in order to move forward with the bond ordinance for the community center.
Okay. Any discussion at the table from anybody? We all good?
We must move forward.
I will
on
offer
this.
it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I will second that.
seconded by Ms. Ryan. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Absolutely.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to Resolution R13-226, resolution authorizing 2013 revised Alliance Grant application, municipal Alliance Grant application.
Tim, are you speaking to this, or?
Yeah, I believe this is the extension, the county is switching in terms of the process. We're gonna be entering into a new 5-year contractual obligation. But in the meantime, I believe the county's asking that we extend 6 months at this point. Atlantic Highlands is also involved with the Alliance, and they're going to be doing the same.
Okay. Any questions from the table? Okay, I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Redmond. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Resolution R13-228, resolution authorizing refund of tax overpayment. This was one.
Your R13-228 is new
Oh.
since you came out with
It's
the,
not on the agenda, but it's in the supplemental
Right,
packet.
it's in the,
it's in the supplemental
Right.
package. Folks, all we're doing is paying people back that overpaid taxes. That's all this
227.
is.
227 is publishing for Charlie Hack.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have it on mine.
I don't either. I didn't place it on there.
It's not on the agenda, but it's in your packet.
Okay.
It's Resolution
There's
13-227.
another one.
oh.
What's
okay.
227 again? I'm sorry.
Resolution approving publication and solicitation of proposals for real property data collection and verification services in accordance with the Assessment Demonstration Program, Public Law 2013, Chapter 15. This is the, oh, was in consent? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. I had it. It was listed
Well,
in my
it's
supplemental.
number 20, yeah, but it was in the
That was for the
consent agenda.
database over
Yeah.
and everything.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Done.
all right.
We passed it in the consent agenda.
Sorry, folks. 13-228, resolution authorizing refund of tax overpayment to.
There's William Eiler and a Selink Reverse Mortgage Corporation.
And they both pay too much in tax.
Yes.
So we're funding them, okay? I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor
I'll
Nolan,
second it.
seconded by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for second reading and public hearing was ordinance O1327, but Mr. Padula, I believe we have to renotice? Because the meeting was canceled?
No. Which one we talking about?
13-12, ordinance regulating home
Oh,
elevation.
I'm sorry, wrong one. Wrong one.
27.
13-27, correct?
It was noticed for October
It was noticed
16th,
for- And was there any notice given
after
for
that meeting.
tonight?
Yeah,
No. So you should be notified.
For November 6th?
6.
You have enough time, Karen?
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
We noticed for November 6th.
and you'll make that in all the newspapers and everything else so everybody knows it's coming?
Oh, I need a motion? Mr. Padula?
Yeah, you might as well.
I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
And read everything for
I'll
November
second
6th.
it.
second by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for adoption this evening is Bond Ordinance 0-13-20, bond ordinance providing for the reconstruction of the North Street Pump Station in and by the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $1,800,000 therefore and authorizing the issuance of $1,621,923 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. We did have our public hearing on this on September 18th, and we tabled or carried vote. Good to know.
Gail, you want to speak to this briefly and tell us what we're doing?
Sure, basically,
Tell the public.
yeah, basically it's for the replacement of North Street Pump Station.
Mhm.
I have reworked some of the numbers, trying to get the cost back down, eliminating one of the pumps. By doing so, you're looking at half the protection than you were. There's other cost-cutting measures we could do. The generator is also about 10% of the cost. Right now, I've got the cost down to about 1.1 for the actual construction.
What was the original cost?
It was around 1.4, plus those bonding costs. There's still some permitting costs in there. Basically, this also includes replacement of the bulkhead. We have to do some replacement of the North Street pipe that comes into it. Dig out the old wet well, put a new wet well in, new bulkheading.
Okay, is this to a point where we can't wait for the overall project to be done, and now that we have Steve on board?
Well, the overall project didn't touch us.
I understand, but now that we have Steve on board, as far as grant money and things like that, is this something that we have to do?
We could look at other possibilities. We do have some grant money from
He
community
might have some
development.
avenues that we don't know about,
Right.
that's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's not a dire need today, but we have to address it in
Right,
the immediate
well,
future.
part of this is to help pay my design bills too, because there's no mechanism in place for that.
Okay.
And I hate to say it that way, but that's the,
Yeah, and I need
With
to weigh in a little bit on this
Go ahead,
too.
weigh in.
I was gonna make this report later, but I'll do it now because it is part of this. We are, in a group of municipalities within the Monmouth County Improvement Authority that are going to reissue and issue new debt on Sandy-related, and in the case of Highlands, one ordinance that's related to Hurricane Irene, debt through the County Improvement Authority, getting the county's AAA and their guarantee, which should save us significantly, plus bring to the table many more bidders than we would be able to bring by ourselves. If we don't adopt this ordinance tonight, this ordinance is out of that funding, and while you still have the ability to reduce the project in scope if that's what you want, or you still have the ability to stay within the original scope of the project. And
Or
any-
still get grant money and pay it
Any
down.
grant money that you get in will be applied to the amount of debt that we're issuing,
Okay.
okay?
What are we looking at, going with the county route as dollars and cents from the 1.1? What was your ballpark idea, what would we save?
If we drop from 1.8 to 1.1. I don't know off the top of my head, the county gave us, we got preliminary runs, but of the entire group, the entire picture. So I don't have like it broken down per ordinance because they didn't do it that way.
But it's a dollar amount worth doing to save that money.
I think so.
Significant.
The worst case scenario is as we get a little closer to the financing, if you want to reduce the scope of the financing, I think they would work, that they'd be willing to work with us, and if we said we only want to go for 1.1 as we or 1.8, where I tell them something in between, I think we're okay doing that as long as we tell them, we give them enough lead time.
Yeah.
We don't want them out to bid on the whole 1.8, and then we say, no,
Forget
we've
that.
already awarded, But I think the bottom line is that we want to move forward so we can get this in that county funding, in the county financing package, and have that piece taken care of, because I am afraid that because of the size of the amount of debt we're carrying from Sandy, we
It has to
may
be
have
in
a
there.
hard time on our own selling debt.
So we gotta put it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the table on that?
No.
Okay, looks like I'm gonna have another, we've already had a public. Anyone in the public have any questions on this issue?
Carolyn Brouillon, 12 Mill Street. Will the pump be automated so that Johnny no longer has to flip the
yeah.
switch?
Yeah, we're gonna take Johnny's hand out of the picture.
Yeah.
And,
We did think
I
about
mean, I
Johnny's
tease Johnny and
well-being.
Chris all the time that they say it's not their pumps,
yeah, I
it's the town
talked to him
pumps,
about it and
but
everything,
as
but,
long as someone has to physically flip
it
the
was a tough
switch.
sell for him to back away from it, but he's.
Okay.
He was okay
Just
with
making
it.
sure.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna close public hearing.
On for final reading and adoption is a bond ordinance 0-13-20, bond ordinance providing for the reconstruction of the North Street Pump Station in and by the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $1,800,000 thereof and authorizing the issuance of $1,621,923 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Redmond. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now, Karen, before we start setting all these, it looks like we're gonna have five public hearings at a later date. Are we prepared to do that on the 5th?
I have some going for December 4th, because they have to
Just tell
go
us, that's
before
all.
local
Doesn't matter.
finance.
December 4th.
Yes, and
Yeah,
some going for
and then
November.
a couple on November 5th,
Okay.
6th, okay.
On for introduction and setting of a public hearing date for December 4th is ordinance 0-13-28, an ordinance amending section 2-7.4 of the Code of the Borough of Highlands to eliminate longevity pay for the new non-union borough employees.
Bruce, you wanna just basically tell the public what that means to the scope of things with the Borough of Highlands?
Sure, it means by ordinance, which is your equivalent of a statute, the borough is prohibited from providing longevity pay to any of its employees.
There'll be new hires?
Yes, and it's subject to, obviously, collective bargaining agreements, which may have longevity. You have to honor those.
Okay.
But this also goes to get you more points on your annual
Best practice.
best practices report that you give to the state,
Okay.
which helps you with your state aid.
And you want it for 12/4?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Just to
On-
follow up on that, remember, Steve talked about that before. You already have one on dealing with education for governing body members, so that will also assist in your best practices.
Very good. Community centers for which date, Karen?
November 6th.
November 6th?
On for introduction and setting of a public hearing date for November 6th is bond ordinance 0-13-29. Bond ordinance providing for improvements to the community center in and by the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $450,000 thereof and authorizing the issuance of $378,720 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Okay, I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I will second that.
second by Ms. Ryan. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
And that's for the 6th.
Yes. On for introduction, setting of a public hearing date for November 6th is ordinance 0-13-30, an ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth in the State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 21 zoning and land use regulations of the general ordinances of the Borough of Highlands concerning the repair and/or restoration of damaged non-conforming structures.
Dale, in a nutshell, I know there's a few residents out here tonight because of this. What, and rightfully so, what is this doing for them? And what are we doing?
Basically, as we sat in this room over the summer, I brought this to the table and said there was a concern about non-conforming uses that were substantially damaged, not being able to continue that use and having to go back to the board to continue in the use that they were currently functioning in. What this ordinance does, it splits up the designation of substantially damaged, which is 50% or more of the value of the house, and what triggers you have to go back to the board to continue a non-conforming use. So basically, we're going to keep for FEMA purposes, with regards to mitigation, elevation, we're going to keep the 50% substantially damaged designation intact.
So they can get the grant money?
Right. But on the other side, where you have to go back to the board to continue a non-conforming use, the building has to be 100% destroyed, and that's by value. So if you've got a building that's valued at $200,000 and your repair costs are $210,000, the building is destroyed, and then that would trigger you to have to go back to the board to continue a non-conforming use.
Other than that, they just have to get permits.
Other than that, they just have to get permits to rehab it. A
And
lot
you
of these
still-
buildings that are substantially damaged by value can just be repaired and have be
That's
habitable.
why we talked to this week, I understand.
Right.
And they'll still also be able to have their grant money that they already
Yes.
got approved for.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and we're doing that on 11/6?
Yes.
I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for introduction, setting of a public hearing date for December 4th is bond ordinance 0-13-31. Bond ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, in furtherance of the dissolution of the Atlantic Highlands Regional Sewage Authority, appropriating $5,646,653, therefore, and authorizing not to exceed $5,646,653 principal amount of bonds or notes in connection therewith.
Carolyn, when is that date? I apologize.
December 4th.
December 4th. And that's okay with the finance board and everything?
It has to go before the local finance board in
Okay.
November.
Perfect. I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Redmond. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes.
Motion carries. On for introduction, setting of a public hearing date of December 4th is ordinance 0-13-32, an ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, dissolving the Atlantic Highlands Regional Sewage Authority pursuant to NJSA 48:5A-20.
Call for also?
Yes.
I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ms. Kane. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to other business, we have the Borough Engineer Status Report.
Dale, please.
No problem. Report short tonight. Basically, Bayside Drive, for those of you that don't know, Bayside Drive has been repaved from Marina Matthews. Road actually came out well. We had some glitches along the way that we got worked out with the residents. We do have some punch list items to do. Exxon does want to extend that retaining wall for another distance, which is fine. We can still take care of that inside the contract. I'm actually meeting with the contractor tomorrow to go over his quantities, punch list items, the wall. So we'll be able to put the project to bed soon, but the road itself is substantially complete.
Good.
The Bay Street retaining wall, that was a project you authorized, I think the meeting before last, for the failed retaining wall in front of 8 Bay Street up on the hill. That design is currently underway. And then that's pretty much it for tonight. We did submit the grant for DOT for Shrewsbury Avenue.
Okay, good.
And the resolution you did tonight was a requirement of that grant submittal. We'll be able to get that into DOT and get that in, and hopefully we'll be successful.
Okay. Thank you, Dale. Anyone at the table have any questions for the engineer? Playground Sandy project, Tim, you speaking to that? Basically, the project, playground's in, and
Yeah, just that's what we'll touch on. For those that are aware, the Sandy Playground project that the FMBA, the New Jersey Firemen Development Association, was involved with, the project was put in place today. They are having a ribbon cutting on Sunday at 10 a.m. And the family of Daniel Barden, who was the playground that the playground's named after, they'll be in town that day, and there'll be a ceremony leading down to the park. He aspired to be a firefighter, so we understand that there's going to be quite a procession along the route.
other towns bring their,
Commemorating that. So everyone's
Cruise out.
invited. It's going to be a very emotional day, we know that, but it's Highlands is very honored to be a part of that very significant project. I do want to commend too the VFW and all those folks that were involved, and the Veterans Group has a lot of different concerns when we're doing things in Veterans Park, but they really stepped up
There
with
was no
this
issue
one,
with this,
and
yeah.
no issues, and they wanted to make sure that the project went without fail, so.
There's
There'll be
also
plenty of people to thank, but
yeah, no, there's
lots of work
a lot of
went
that to
into
go
it,
around.
and we're happy to see it here in Highlands.
So 10 o'clock at Veterans Park on Sunday.
And also, if I could just mention, because I thought it was very interesting, and you wouldn't know it if you came up to just see it. The pictures that are depicted on the thing are actually his pictures,
Yep.
like pictures that he drew, obviously while he was alive, and they were able to put them onto the playground.
Yep.
So you'll see pieces of art, and you probably wouldn't know, because I don't think it says it,
You're right.
where they came from, but they were his own artworks.
And I was
very
down there this
cool.
morning talking to them. There's also other family members from other victims of the shooting that are there. Teresa Soto's dad is the guy that's selling the sweatshirts and everything. She was the school teacher, one of the school teachers. And I found out today that I didn't know this either. The reason they're different colors is the parents told the firemen what the children's favorite colors were. So they're all different. That's why we have one color, Seabright has another, and Union Beach has, another color too. So just interesting. Okay, it's the building department software. Tim, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, the building department has requested, and I believe we got quotes in from National Geomatica for, I think it's Jungle Laser program. That's a pretty popular program in the code enforcement. It'll enable the property maintenance, building department to all be under one umbrella. Right now, they kind of use different softwares and interactions. It is a fee-based program. The building department understands, and I don't want to defer to the CFO yet, but we're not, it is fee-based where there's a cost per permit, but we're not redoing the ordinance at this point to pass along that cost to additional permit fees, so that's within the building department budget. It's approximately, they anticipate next year doing about $17,000 in those fees alone, and it's different for each category. There's a $10 fee for one, there's a $5 fee for another permit, so you won't see those fees on a permit, application, but that's what'll be the input from
Part of
the
the
end
cost.
user.
Okay,
Mayor, I also want to make a correction on, if I may, on R226. That's actually the full year grant for the Municipal Alliance. I know
Full
we
year?
talked about, I just wanted to bring that up at this point, R-226. That's the full year grant
Okay.
period, not the half year. I think we had done the extension that they requested previously.
okay,
Thank you.
no problem.
And actually, Mayor, just before we start, I just wanted to add to other business. I've
Got
been
it.
working with Carolyn, and I've had some talks with Steve about having a special meeting in December just on facility discussion and capital.
Three buildings that are, okay.
Yeah, about
sounds
the
good.
buildings and where we are with bonds, what we have out,
And maybe
how
from
much
now
we
we can
have.
draw some subcommittee with
Yeah,
residents.
and then that way we can really engage
And obviously
Steve on
Steve
where
will
we
be
are
involved.
with different projects.
I don't know, I'm sure you know,
We did get
basically all of our
a
municipal buildings are
Okay.
like that except for the
Okay.
firehouse.
What
So
was that date?
we own property on Shore Drive, doesn't have to be there, but plus they have to acquire here.
But even for what we will be
And
going
actually-
ahead, for instance, with the community center.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, well, that should be
Yeah, right.
probably number one on the list. then.
Carolyn said that this room did get approved for December 11th.
Okay,
So it's that
so
second
potentially it's
Wednesday?
December 11th, second Wednesday.
Yes.
Frank, real quick, Mayor, I
Go ahead. Hang on one second, Mr. Redmond wants to.
Just real quick, that Governor Christie has a $57 million Sandy Housing and Rental Assistance
Yep.
Program. It's online. Okay, if you want to get a copy of it and take a look at it for the people that are in need. Okay, it's used for housing and rent. So you
We just
can
put
go
a
on
link to our website.
Texas
Mr. Redmond.
Department of Human
It'll be on
Services.
We
our.
have a link to our website.
Mayor, I'd like to follow up with that too. We're in discussion with a couple different organizations. RFPs went out to Monmouth County to solicit nonprofit and other organizations that could manage this type of program. We have been approached by a couple different organizations that are already established, and I would recommend that we consider a letter for the Housing Alliance program. They're well-established, they're in town, they have the capabilities to provide the service. One of the items that a lot of the nonprofits didn't know was that you had to actually have the money up front
Yes.
to spend. You will get reimbursed, but they don't want this program to be stymied down because, Tim's program could only do the first 10 on the list and then he ran out of money.
What do you
So-
suggest, what do you recommend in this?
I would recommend that we do a letter of support for the Housing Alliance program on our behalf as well. In discussion with them, they're talking potentially of hoping to have the ability to do 200 to 300 clients based in Highlands alone.
Okay. I think we'll agree to obviously support that and.
Can
Send the letter.
Ms. Dibble ask a question on
Sure,
that?
Ms. Dibble.
Is that the affordable housing alliance?
Yes.
Okay, and are they going to have an office?
We're working out the details because there's a lot more details than just giving them an office.
Okay, because I did speak with Donna Rose, and she had told me, I hadn't told you guys this yet, but she had said that if we have space, she would.
We're
come
fully, I don't want to cut you off, we're very much in negotiations, we've been doing this, and that's why when other folks get involved on behalf of the borough, I've got to make sure from our perspective that we're working out all those details. So yes, we are in, and Donna Blaze is the contact, and we are in definite contact with them.
And their goal is to 200 to 300
She
residents.
had said that they would commit a person having.
I'm fully, we're working
We've
on
been talking about
details.
this.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, I have one more.
Go ahead, Mr. Fetterman.
A bit of good news. I had informed you a while back that we were also working with the Monmouth County Improvement Authority to improve financing for normal capital projects outside of Hurricane Sandy. We got a first preliminary run the other day. I just wanted to let you know that the projects that are included in this are various road improvements, bulkhead replacement along Washington Avenue, the acquisition of a fire truck, and the wall reconstruction. So those figures came to $1,494,985. The first preliminary run shows that the financing with the AAA and the county guarantees are going to yield a payback of only 1.37 million against that almost 1.5 million we're borrowing. So besides getting very good interest rates, the deal's looking like it's gonna go out on a premium, and we're gonna have to pay back less than what we actually are gonna borrow. So that's the first preliminary run. Keep our fingers crossed. That was dated October 16th.
Perfect, thank you, sir. Gail, did you have something you wanted to?
No, I'm good.
Public portion, Kim Scorpio?
Kim Scorpio, 315 F Shore Drive. I know there's a lot of steps to go through the process to rebuild Borough Hall and get the community center back up and running. I'm wondering if there's any discussion about getting volunteers. There's a lot of people in the town that want to help, and if sheetrock needs to be ripped out or replaced, and I'm sure there's licensed electricians in town who would love to volunteer some time. Maybe Home Depot would love to volunteer some, or donate some materials. Is that an option to help
Absolutely.
save us money?
I look at, and I'm not gonna put everything on Steve, who's just got here, but he's gonna be our, for lack of a better word, our townwide project manager. And I think that with his resources, especially with just getting money, for grants and things like that for these specific projects, that will all be coming about sooner than later. But we will absolutely let the public get involved, and we'll try to get corporate, because that's what Home Depot would be, money towards it. And I'm sure they'd love to do it and come down and take a picture when, we cut the ribbon on it and things like that. It's a great idea.
We don't have to paint it orange though, right?
Maybe a little orange sign somewhere in like on the driveway or something, we'll see.
Okay, and I have another question to revisit the noise ordinance.
Okay,
And I was hoping Chief Blute would be here. Is it worth my time to call the police at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon when Havana's got their band outside? They've started up with that this past weekend. I'm hoping because of the cold weather it was a one-time deal. But, once again, it's 4 o'clock. Luckily we already had plans to leave, but you can hear the music over the football game.
I'll mention it to Chief Blue. And this is the
Okay.
first time it's happened this Sunday?
So far
Because they just
this
came back?
year.
Okay,
I still have an issue late at night. I've kind of let it go because it hasn't been that bad.
okay,
But I've been working with Tara on some sort of amenable agreement.
okay.
And the bands are usually inside, and if they keep the door shut, it's fine. Once they open that door, the band might as well be outside. And I can deal with it up to a certain point, past the noise ordinance, when I call the police and 2 cars show up and the gentlemen get out and they walk in front of the restaurant and not even 2 minutes later, they're back in their cars. What's the process of, how do I find out why they decided not to do anything? Because when they leave, the music is just as loud. It's not even like they went in, they turned it
They
down.
never
and
went in,
back up.
or tell them to slow down, and then they stopped and then came back when they left.
The volume never changed.
Did they ever go in the building or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'd have to ask Joe that, I don't wanna speak for Joe, he's
Okay.
not here.
Is there a process that I as a citizen can say, can I go to Joe?
I think you're doing it with
Do I
Tara
have to
right
do
now.
an open public records?
Well-
I don't wanna start running around like, well, you have to talk to this person, you have to talk to that person.
No, and I don't want you to do
then-
that either.
Shouldn't have to do that.
So I'm just trying to find out what the process is.
Okay, well, I think that we're going to talk to Chief Blewett. I know that in a couple of weeks, it won't be as bad because the doors are closed, but that's not the solution,
Right.
okay?
Because then it's back in
It'll
4
just
months.
help,
Yeah.
so we have to address this now, Kim. Okay, so how about you let us talk to Chief Blewett, and I'll let you know, I'll call you,
Okay,
okay, and see what the answer is on that, about what the process is. I would think that you need to keep signing complaints, but we'll see,
okay,
okay? I will let you know.
alright, thank you.
Kim, did they come because you called the other day, or
Yeah,
they? Okay, no, I didn't know if they
This
was someone
was a few
else.
weeks ago,
Oh,
and
like 2 Sundays
and
ago?
like I said, well, this was a Saturday night.
Saturday, okay.
It was probably about 11 o'clock at night, and I called the police because obviously it was after the ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops were very responsive. They were there within minutes. 2 cars. Like I said, the gentleman got out. They walked in front of the restaurant. They discussed something between the 2 of them,
You went into it.
and then they got in their cars and drove away.
Okay.
So I don't know if they said, it's really not that loud.
And I don't know that either, and I don't wanna speak
Right.
for them or
And,
Joe.
and I
We'll
want to
find
know
out.
what their rationale is so that I can have a discussion with them and try and figure out where that median's going to be.
Okay,
Thank you.
Tara will get back to you, okay?
All right. Thanks.
Ida,
Nothing,
you're good, okay?
except for this beautiful music, Frank.
Listen, I guess from here it's beautiful, but
I love the whole rock music and going here
But
is
she's right there.
if it's on top of you, it might not be as
Right,
beautiful,
but,
that's,
The
I
food
do
is
sympathize,
great, the
trust me.
music is great, And I just love it there. And it wouldn't bother me if I would hear it, but if it bothers other
We
people.
have to serve everybody in the town. That's our job. John, I saw you come in.
You want to-
Are you gonna do the ones or do you want?
No, you ain't gonna.
Okay. John McAleer, 52 Barbary. A few weeks ago, we noticed some activity on a house next door to us, 56 Barbary, that's been abandoned since the storm. And first a dumpster showed up and they were gonna put it in our yard until we explained to the vendor that, no, that's our yard. And he was actually great. And in fact, he called whoever contracted him and said, hey, you need to get a permit from the town or I'm not dropping this thing off.
Okay.
So they did do that. But I saw contractors' trucks with out-of-state plates and an out-of-state, business name that didn't have a New Jersey license on it. I did call the police department and explain to them what was going on, only because of what Chief Blewett had mentioned in the meeting.
Okay, about the contractors going.
Right, about contractors going in and so forth. So-
Illegally or.
Right, and the story kind of continued to develop because then a young fella showed up to mow the lawn. He put my wife on the phone with his boss, who was apparently some property management company, and she said, we were contracted to do certain work, but then somebody changed the locks on us on this house a couple of months ago, and I'm not aware of it, and we're supposed to be the only ones working on the house.
Okay.
All work in the house stopped
When you guys
shortly
started
after
the
I
calls?
called the police
Okay.
department, but the dumpster's still there, the permit's expired by better than a week.
Okay.
I did call the police department the other day, I don't know if they followed up on it, and they may very well have.
Okay,
We're just kind of wondering,
that's 56, John?
56 Barbary.
And just make sure, John.
Partially because I know that Chief Blewett has initiated an investigation that's going on with the county, but also, the workers that were there, they're not wearing masks. We know that building is full of mold up to the second floor, because we were actually told so by somebody who went in there. Now, if it's not a licensed contractor, we don't know if they're insured, we don't know if they have workman's comp. If they set the house on fire and we're next door, we're gonna have problems. And OSHA typically requires that some sort of PPE, personal protective equipment, is issued to the workers. Now, they can't mandate they wear it, I
Right, of course.
understand
They're
that,
not gonna check
but
it
they have
out.
to provide it. So, just kind of wondering, what's going on.
Okay.
We did email, I believe, Tim, I think you were CC'd on it. It went to Dale, it went to you, and it went to Paul. So I don't know if either of you can speak to it. Again, I've sort of been hitting it from a couple of different angles. And the initial email was to you guys, and then we went to I called the police department with the expired dumpster permit. So are you aware of the situation, or
I
I
actually
realize you
spoke
guys
to
have a
Paul.
lot?
Right after I got your email, Paul and I had spoken, and he
Okay.
said he was following up with it. And I haven't followed up with Paul again on it,
Okay.
but I could follow up with him tomorrow and just see what he found out. But that's more his jurisdiction, so I threw it towards him.
Sure.
But let me follow up with him again tomorrow and see
And
what he
nobody's
found.
been back, John, since you guys have.
Nobody's been back. And again, and like I said in the email, I'm glad somebody's mitigating the problem.
Right.
We just want it done according to Hoyle, so we don't have bigger
Yep.
issues.
I'll talk to Paul, see if he, maybe he did talk to him, maybe that's why I haven't been around, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, thanks, John. Melissa?
Thank you. I have a
Name and
couple-
address, I'm sorry.
Oh, Melissa McAleer, 52 Barbary. I actually have a couple things.
Okay.
Where are we with the list of the condemned houses that Arcadis is going to manage? I know we keep talking about it, and I know that last time it wasn't final, so I'm just
It's
trying
still
to
not
get.
finalized.
Okay, do we have an ETA of when that's going to be final? Is it going to be?
It basically changes almost every day because a couple of those homes that were on the list the last week, those homes have been demolished. A couple of those homes that were on the list actually pulled permits to do repairs. So I've always said it's a moving target, even though people don't believe me. So that number keeps decreasing at this point. Once Arcadis and FEMA finalize the list, then it will be up to Arcadis to follow up and manage the demolition, do the property owner notification and things like that. When that list actually becomes, I think you're suggesting, when are you gonna know that it's public? It could change the next day. So we also want to be very cautious about the information because people take things and run in different ways and it's not accurate. So when it's prudent to do so, I'm sure the list will be out there, and once FEMA approves it and Arcadis is on board with doing and setting up the demolition, that's how it'll be.
So basically the process, we identified X amount of houses, right? Arcadia's now working for us, tries to get us money to demo them through FEMA. While that's happening, they okayed X amount of houses, and the other ones, they say we have to, they were down before Sandy, whatever it is. And if we want to still pursue them, we would have to appeal it with FEMA on a one-on-one basis, with Arcadia's as our agent. At the same time, some of them that were approved, people have already gone on their own, sold, whatever it was, or have put permits in to do repairs. And that's why the number is changing. But the original process to allocate money, and believe me, I have local contractors calling us every day because they want to know too, hasn't been finalized yet, but when it is, it's probably not going to be 100% accurate because some of those have already changed over that list because of those factors.
Okay, is there an ETA on when it's approved?
Arcadia's is doing at the next meeting also, so we can have them report to us at that because they come once a month and they're at, they'll be at this one next one. So it's the only one meeting in November, so
Okay,
schedule. Okay. What else did you have?
Couple other things.
For the record, Mr. Francis here.
I'm sorry,
That's okay. We know you're busy.
I wanted to ask about the Transit Village because we have heard bits and pieces, and there is my understanding is that the town is moving forward vis-a-vis applying to become eligible for this. And I guess my question is, before we move ahead, it would be really great if we could actually have a public hearing or a public presentation before we actually go ahead and apply for it, so that we as residents and the whole town can actually decide whether this is something that we want to move forward with. Because I think there's, I've heard little bits and pieces from what was discussed at the council meetings, what Carla had mentioned, but I think in order to really be able to understand what it is, how far is it going to span, what are the repercussions, what are the pros, what are the cons, so that we as residents can actually all make a decision whether this is something that we want to move ahead. Because I feel like, things are running off over there, and then we're going to be basically either approved or not approved when we didn't really have a chance to understand what it is that we're getting approved for.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering what.
I'll tell you what the time frame is in my mind, and I spoke to Carla about this yesterday, actually. We should be ready to submit by the second week in November because we're gathering maps, other things like that take a little bit of time. At that point, we can have a public meeting and have somebody from DOT there who can explain it a lot better than any of us can. It's just true. And go over all I believe it's 14 steps of this DOT application. So if we do that, we can either have the public meeting the week before Thanksgiving, so everybody knows, so it doesn't make it's something that we're doing, but that's when it would be. Or we already have one now, the 11th, so we're gonna have 3 weeks in December. We would probably have to do it then the Wednesday or Monday potentially before, like the week before Thanksgiving, probably that Monday. I don't know the date off the top of my head. I guess it's probably the 18th.
11th or 18th.
Is that the convention?
Well, that's Wednesday, Tuesday, when I'm saying Monday. What is Monday, November 18th?
18th, Monday, November 18th.
So potentially, if we have all our ducks in a row, we're not gonna apply or put this application until we have at least another council meeting or a public hearing.
Okay, because I think it would be really beneficial.
We have no reason not to, so, but we should have all of our stuff ready by the second Wednesday or Thursday in November
When you say everything ready for.
to apply. Like you don't just send them a one-page thing, you're sending them, yeah.
But I think that's kind of what I'm.
But that's not an
asking.
opinion-based thing. That is basically, they want topographical maps. They want what your current zoning is, what your current master plan is. That's not anything that is open for discussion, it's stuff that's there now.
Oh, no, I understand, but I guess my question is, if we all go through the pros and cons and understand really what it is, and we basically say, you know what, this is really not something that would benefit the town, and I almost feel like all this work that you guys are doing, that Carla is doing, would sort of be a waste of time.
I think we gotta pursue every avenue like that, my opinion.
Okay.
If it gets turned down and we don't do it, I'm not gonna feel bad, I'll think it'll be a missed opportunity, but it is what it is. That's why we go through all the processes anyway. I mean, any ordinance can get turned down at any vote.
Has anyone looked at the Transit Village application online?
I did, but again, I think really, those are just, to the mayor's point, those are just steps
They are.
without really understanding what does it mean. right? Because 14 steps are on paper, but what does that mean in terms of maps, in
Right,
terms
and when
of?
we met with the DOT back in, I think it was in August? July or August, the initial beginning of this, just to see if it was worth doing, or they're gonna say no, and they looked favorably if everything we told them was, true and documented. We asked that somebody would be at that public meeting, because we don't have the answers that they do, because they obviously have 25, I think it is, in the state right now, so they would know some of the answers we may not.
Yeah.
Especially impact-wise and everything else, because I don't live in, Edison or these other places that are transit villages.
Are there pros or cons that you've read about that you think might not benefit Highlands?
I think it's more about really actually understanding what they are. I think it's more about really being able to decide, because I feel like I don't really understand
All I'm saying is
exactly.
what the benefits are on the websites. You can read about the benefits. There's a lot of information on there, really.
No, I understand it, but again, that is, I think that is very particular to each town where this actually has been applied. So I think, every situation is very different. There are general pros and cons, such as, influx of revenue, influx of individuals.
How does it apply here?
Again, those are sort of very abstract concepts, as opposed to what does that mean in terms of, parking spaces for those of us who use the
Density, or how would
ferry.
you apply it in the borough?
Bike lanes, how does it affect the quarter mile radius of whatever it is in terms of the actual individual, because for example, our house would be impacted.
Right.
So, so I think those specifics is really something that would be really important for us to understand.
We will have the meeting and we will invite the DOT people, and I can't guarantee they're gonna come. We've asked them. They've done everything, so far in good spirit through the whole process, so I don't think that they'll let us down.
Right. And then one last thing, this is for Stephen. The municipality scorecard that you had mentioned at the last meeting, I believe, the best practices. Is that something that's going to be put on the website?
It can be, I don't know if it was posted to the website yet, but it can.
I don't think it is right now.
It can be posted to the website. It's been submitted to the state. It's a public document. And I see no reason why it couldn't be posted.
Put it on. Mr. Hill?
Well, it has to come from the website that it'll get put on.
Karen, can you make that happen?
Yep.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Melissa. Barbara Iannucci?
Barbara
Iannucci, Shrewsbury Avenue. I had some questions with, you referred to the top 3 projects earlier in the meeting. And I'm hearing a lot of bonds going out for identified projects that we can say are in process, already underway. Now, what if they are the same, like if they were one of the top 3 projects on the recovery committee? Can that mean, since these are already established and underway, can we then move one of the lower projects up?
Sure.
So that we can conquer more projects at one time?
Or we can ask Steve to get us financing through grants instead of bonding. Whichever one is more, he's gonna tell us, in my opinion, Steve will tell us, hey, I can get you a grant and a really good chance of getting it for that project.
Yeah.
Or there's one available for number 5 right now.
Yeah.
And then we'd make that determination.
And it seems like you are getting some reimbursements on a lot of these bonds that I've been hearing of.
We are, right. And like when you see the trailers and all that in 819 Bay, we're getting reimbursed 90% up to right now for all that expenses.
Yes, okay. And the grants is just one element that's just getting, to me, the green light to even begin the process of implementing the project. But it seems like some of these projects are maybe halfway implemented pretty much. So why have them take the priority of the top 3 when we already have 50?
They don't have to.
Okay.
Some of the grants, though, will give you a percentage if you've already bonded or doing it also. So that's why we wanted to keep all the doors open.
No, I understand that, and that's why you guys have so many going at this point. And I also did this Transit Village, is that one of your top 3? Does it fall under one of
That's
those?
not in the, that didn't, I don't think that was even mentioned at the recovery meeting.
Okay,
That's something over and above.
okay, that's all. Thank you.
No problem. Doug Card?
Question asked, question answered.
Okay. Kara Ryan would like to make a statement, I believe.
Okay. to paraphrase Samuel Clemens, the reports of my resignation from the council are gravely exaggerated. Doug Card was good enough to call me today and tell me that he had been asked about this by someone who they evidently barely know. Yes, I missed one council meeting. I'm not going anywhere.
You didn't. We
I
didn't
have, well, actually, right, we didn't
Tonight.
have it. Well, okay. But anyway.
For the record.
So you technically
And it might
didn't-
seem that I'm up here for a long, long time, but I haven't even finished a year up here. It just seems like it. So, I'm glad that Doug did the right thing and he called me directly, and I just want to let everybody know if you have any questions like that, instead of wondering and talking about anything, constantly come to the source, okay?
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Offered by Ms. Kane.
That was a short meeting.
Seconded by Ms. Owen. All in favor?
Thank everybody for coming out tonight. Have a great night.